I could record to the cloud. It says recording in progress.
Okay, we're here today as a continuation of the oral history of the early African-American families in Guilford, in the Guilford community. This project is going to be ongoing. We stopped for a while because of the pandemic, but now we are going to continue again. And I have the pleasure today of having my daughter, Chanel Carter-Abrams, to interview me with the Carter family history portion. I also have Wayne Davis, who has been very instrumental in this project with researching the history of Guilford. And now I will turn this portion of this recording over to my daughter, Chanel Abrams.
Well, I am so excited also to be a part of this project. I think it's definitely something that needs to be recorded for history, because family history is certainly something that is important to us. So before we begin, I just wanted to make sure that we have your permission to record any audio, video, or photographs during this project that are going to be used for educational purposes, including publications, exhibitions, and presentations. Is that correct?
I agree, and I give you my permission.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. For the viewers that are watching, would you let them know what your name is?
My name is Joan Elizabeth Carter-Smith.
And were you named after anybody?
As far as I know, that would be no.
Okay, so you're the original.
The original.
So where were you born?
Well, actually, I was just having this conversation the other day, I believe with you or Monica, that I'm living in the area now, down the street from where I was born.
Okay.
And my mother's mother, her name is Dora Carroll. She had a 2-story house right around the corner from where I'm living now. And that's where
in the Highland area, right?
In the Highland area, in the Clarksville area. And right up the street is where the home place is.
Okay. And where did you grow up? I know you were born there. Did you grow up there?
No, I did not grow up there. I actually grew up in Guilford. I was raised by 2 wonderful grandparents. I was with them since I was 3 years old. Lived on Cartersville Road. Their name is Madeline and Samuel Carter, and here they are. Can you see them?
Yes, I see Grandma and Pop.
Yeah, so that's where I grew up until I decided to move away. Okay,
now, what were the neighbors like in Guilford?
Oh my goodness, the neighbors were just phenomenal. It was like one big, happy family. The neighbors, we all got along with each other. We all supported each other. We were, in and out each other's houses. We did a lot of things together. We went to school together. We went to church together, meetings, we played together. The Guilford community did everything together. Everything.
A strong community for
very
sure.
Strong community, yes.
So what was school like, and what school did you go to in Guilford?
I actually went to Guilford Elementary School.
Okay, that's a good one.
At the time, that school did not have, it was segregated.
Okay.
And at the time that I was there, Mr. Woodson, Dr. Morris Woodson, was the principal there. Mr. Woodson was, he was a very strong disciplinary, and he was a no-nonsense person. He wanted the best for every individual that came in that school or in that community. He wanted to make sure that you were on the up and up as far as your your character, your integrity, your education. He set very high standards for everyone in the school and the community. As a matter of fact, his home is still standing in Guilford on,
Wow.
it's right across the street from Guilford Elementary School. That home is still standing right there on Carter-Coleman Road. As a matter of fact, there's another Carter family living there now. They're not related to my family, but they're living there now. My grandparents, Madeline and Samuel Carter, actually lived in that home before the Woodsons lived there.
Yeah.
So that is a historical home there, Mr.
It
Woodson.
is.
Yeah,
It is. I know exactly where that is. So what childhood places in Guilford were most important to you?
Oh my goodness, so many. Oh goodness. Mainly church.
Okay.
You know, mainly church and school. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when everything was centered around church and school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all we knew. You know, we would get together, you know, it's sometimes and play together, but the main focus in that community was the church and our education.
And those are two very good things, two strong points to be centered on education and definitely your faith. So what other community activities did you participate in the earlier years? Anything besides activities at the church or at your school? Was there a community center?
I don't recall a community center, but I do know that sometimes we would have a parade. It was called May Day.
Okay.
And I belong to the Majorettes.
Okay, Majorette.
The leader of the group, her name was Gloria Moore. She lived in the lower part of Guilford, Carroll Heights. Well, they called it Upper Guilford and Lower Guilford.
Lower Guilford in the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. The Upper Guilford was, you know, Cartersville Road, Carter-Coleman Road, you know, that area where the church is, that was considered Upper Guilford. The lower part of Guilford was where Miss Beulah Moore lived, the Dorseys, the Greens. That was considered another part of Guilford, but you know, it was only separated in name, but not by people, because we, you know, like I said, we were all like family, one big family. We did everything together.
Yeah.
You know, so I remember, let's see, my aunt Dormat Carter, she would organize bus trips for the whole community.
Okay.
And she would take us to different amusement parks. And if you did not attend church or Sunday school, you could not go on those bus trips. But it was amazing that all the families that came together to go on these bus trips, you know, they would pack picnic baskets. We would, you know, leave out early in the morning. We would leave from the second church, which I lived across the street from, which is actually now the Guilford Cemetery. And we would load, you know, the bus up in that parking lot, and we would head out early in the morning and come back late in the evening.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was just a phenomenal experience living in Guilford, because we were so close.
Yeah, it's definitely something that is definitely missed nowadays. Were there any stores available in Guilford?
The only store that I know of was, of course, my aunt Dormat Carter's store. And here's a picture of my great aunt. Can you see that?
Yes.
Dormat Carter. She's the only store that I know about. And actually, here's a picture of her store. And standing in front of that store, I believe, is My sister Andra
I
and her
see
late
Andra.
husband, and Uncle John, which is Aunt Naomi Carter Gill's husband, and my father.
I see Granddad. Slide the picture over
Yeah.
a little bit, Mom, so everybody can see.
Okay, I'm
There you
sorry.
go. That's perfect.
Yeah. And this store is actually still, the building is still there to this day. It's really a historical site. Technically, it's over 100 years old, and it should
Mhm.
be deemed as, you know, a historical site. Her home is still standing,
Yes.
and the store is still there. So, you know, Wayne and I have been working on trying to, you know, save the store. That has not been completed yet, but, you know, there's no reason in the world why this
Mhm.
cannot be recognized as a historical site, because Dormat Carter was a very strong presence in the Guilford community. She actually married Richard Carter, who was one of the sons, who was a grandson of Willis Carter.
Mhm.
But they they owned the store, the garage. She, taught piano lessons to Miss Beulah Moore. She helped Miss Dorothy Craft out. It was just, the store needs to be a historical site, and prayerfully it will be one day.
Definitely. Now, do you have any heroes you would consider people heroes in the Guilford community? I believe Dora Mack certainly was a hero, and but I'll let you can expound on that.
Yeah, Dora Mack Carter did a lot. As a matter of fact, one of the phases of Guilford Church was named after Aunt Dora, the Dora Mack Carter Center. It doesn't
Yeah.
exist today, but she did a lot for the community. I'm just going to read a little bit of what I have here.
Okay.
About Dora Mack Carter. Going to try to make this as brief as possible, but all this information is very important.
Definitely. I mean, I think you should definitely read as much as possible, because we want this information to be out in the community. So please take liberties with your time.
Okay. Dora Mack Carter pursued her high school education in Baltimore City because education for Black children in Howard County was limited to the elementary grades. The age of 12 or 13, she was enrolled in the Baltimore School of Music after being rejected by the Peabody Conservatory of Music because of her color. Dora evolved as a lyric soprano. She stopped teaching in Baltimore, became the first private school teacher in the vicinity of Guilford. She conducted concerts in New York City, Atlantic City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. As I said, she married Richard Carter, who was actually the brother. He wasn't the brother of Willis Carter. He was the son of Willis Carter. That's not right. But anyway, Richard stopped working at the Guilford Quarry to open his own automobile garage. He worked as a carpenter, mechanic, acquired property to build houses to rent, and Dora opened a grocery store and music studio that operated until 1976. That building, as I said, still stands today, along with her home on Guilford and Cartersville Road. She was the school superintendent, of the First Baptist Church of Guilford for over 50 years.
Wow.
She organized and directed the junior, young people, and senior choir. She was a leader in building of 3 churches. She actively participated in the selection of every pastor, contributed to and financed untold numbers of church projects. She was the founder in charge of the the Guilford Community Civic Club. She belonged to the NAACP, the PTA, Willing Workers. And as I said, every summer she organized bus trips to amusement parks for families, in the Guilford community. And she demonstrated a firm desire to help upgrade standards of her people by helping many families to become homeowners providing relief in numerous fights, promoting personal and social advancements, and at the same time remaining aloof from personal publicity. And as I said, the third phase of the First Baptist Church of Guilford was named in her honor, the Doormat Carter Center. I, remember marching to the Doormat Carter Center from the second church, which was on Cartersville Road.
Yes.
At the time, Reverend R.B.D. Webb was the pastor of the second church. And, when they built the Doormat Carter Center, everyone from the second church marched down, Guilford Road to the Doormat Carter Center. I'll never forget it. We were singing and, it was just a joyous time. It was, just everybody was so proud that the community actually came together, and the men in the community came together and built Doormat Carter. They didn't have any outside contractors.
Yeah.
The men in the community helped to build Doormat Carter. Now I have to mention this hero right here, Willis Carter. Can you see him?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the man that I honor because he came to Guilford out of Richmond. And he was the one that really did a lot of first things for the Guilford community.
Okay.
I need to uplift Willis Carter because I don't think he gets enough credit for things that he has done in the Guilford community.
Okay. Tell us about the quarry.
I'm sorry?
Tell us about the quarry.
I will. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to briefly slide through everything that I know about Willis Carter. I'm trying to be as brief as possible. Willis was born in 1858 and raised by Albert Carter and Louisa Fleming Carter in Richmond, Virginia. Albert was listed in 1870 census as a laborer, and in the 1872 Freedman Bank records as a shoemaker. Let's see. Willis and his mother were in the middle of his siblings in age, and his oldest brother, Albert Jr., was a quarryman in 1880 census, and Willis was listed as a shoemaker, as was his father in 1872. Willis was a block cutter, a career he would continue and change the Guilford community forever. Let's see, Willis must have been living in Granite, Maryland as a quarry worker and probably worked for the Guilford and Walkersville Granite Company, which was the main employer in the area. Based on the article, it appears he had temporarily left his wife and family behind in Richmond to seek a better opportunity in Maryland. While he was gone, Mary, his wife, Mary is buried in the Guilford Cemetery next to Willis. Mary actually came from the Morse family, which is another interview.
Yeah.
Willis left his family behind to seek a better opportunity in Maryland. While he was gone, Mary was raising their children. She managed the farm in the upper part of Henrico County, as well as a garden and small farm at her home. This was a small indication of the entrepreneurial skills of the Carter family. Willis sold his property in Henrico County, Virginia in November 1897 and was located in Baltimore by then. And the birth of his youngest son in Baltimore County a year later. Family notes in the First Baptist Church, this Willis had been the first pastor of the church family in 1900, which he ran out of his rented house. Now, some documentation says that Willis started the church in one of his tenants' homes, which is not true. He actually started the church in his own home. And I have several documents here that Willis's granddaughters, my great aunts, have shared with me to, to acknowledge that. Willis, his brother James, I have a picture of Willis's brother James. This is Willis Carter's brother, James Carter. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
He came up with Willis from Richmond, Virginia, to work with Willis at the Guilford Quarry.
Yes.
Let me see. Willis, his brother James, and 3 others obtained 1 acre of land property in October 1903 from Henry Penny to build a larger church building. And 3 months later, Mr. Penny sold Willis and Mary about 14 acres of land for their own home and farm, which employed many in the community. In addition to church teaching, Mary began a small school for the local children, and Willis and his employer, the Maryland Granite Company, pushed for a public school starting in 1902. In 1905, Willis and Mary's efforts to have a school for the children of Guilford's workers came true when the Board of Education finally built a public school for Black children. Among the first named trustees of this new school was Willis Carter. There were Carter family members associated with supporting the public schools for the next 70 years. And one of those names I know was my great-great-grandfather, Samuel A. Carter, and also Samuel's son, Walter Carter. They were very instrumental in pushing education for Black children in the Guilford community.
Mm-hmm.
Reverend Willis J. Carter died in 1906, and he was 49 years old from cancer. Quarry workers and stone cutters were occupations associated with this disease. After his death, Mary continued to farm and was viewed as the mother of the church due to her dedication to the church, her family, and the Guilford community. I'd like to show you a brief picture of the first church.
Okay.
That Willis Carter built. Hold on a second, I'm so sorry. I do have that here. All right, this is the best picture that I have of the first church.
That's a good one.
As you can see, there's 2 parts of that church. One part was where Willis was the first part that Willis built. The second part was an addition. And I take pride in that building because actually I was in that building. Guilford Church at the time would have dinners in the second church, and the dinners would be held in that first church. So myself, along with other families of the Guilford community, like the Moores, the Colemans, we can all say that we were actually physically in that building. Mm-hmm. We didn't know at the time that it was the first church. We just knew that, on Family Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, occasions like that, that was the banquet hall. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to, I think that's really cool that, people are still living today that can say they've actually been in that building. I remember that building very well. Mm-hmm. I was kind of sad when they destroyed it, but because I felt that, it should have been restored since it was the first church. Mm-hmm. I felt that, it could have been restored, mm-hmm. but it wasn't. But thank God for pictures. Thank God for, the experience of being in that building. And thank God for, history that is documented.
Are there any other heroes that you want to highlight in the Guilford community?
Yes, I would like to highlight some more heroes.
Your picture went out.
Hold on a second, please. Hold on. Can you see me? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. So sorry about this. Yes, I would like to highlight Roger Carter. Here's Uncle Roger right here. It's not, I'm hoping you can see, can you see him?
Yep.
Okay, Uncle Roger
Oh,
Carter.
yes.
Here he is on here also with all of his siblings. I don't know if you can see that very well, but those are his brothers.
Slide it over a little bit, man.
Can
Yep.
you see it? Those are all his brothers. Here's a picture of him with his sisters and brothers. Can you see that? Okay. Uncle Roger has done so much for he's such a, I can't say enough good things about him because he was such a determined young man. He walked 6 miles to pursue his education because, education was not offered to, Black children. The education that he wanted was not offered to Black children in the community. I'm just gonna, briefly go over just a little bit of Uncle Roger's history, just a little bit. I do have a picture of him here with his buses. Can you see that? The Carter
Yes,
bus
I remember
service that he
that.
started. He actually was the first Black bus company in Maryland, actually. So I'm just going to read a brief little history about Uncle Roger. He left such a great legacy of hard work and education, of concern for others in the community, and of holding tight to the belief that one should indeed have dreams and then act on those dreams. The dream of Uncle Rogers was getting an education. As I said, education wasn't offered to African-American students in Howard County. So he would get up at 5 a.m. and walk 6 miles, no, 8 miles to Laurel just to catch the bus to Lakeland High School in College Park. Now, can you imagine that?
Wow.
He graduated in 1934. He first opened a car repair shop in a rented garage where he worked at night. He, along with the help of his wife, Aunt Agnes became his first bus driver. He provided transportation to children to parochial school. And with the purchase of a school bus in the late 40s, Roger Carter became the first African-American in the county to have a bus business. He was awarded a contract with the Department of Education. Carter's business began to grow. Later, Carter Bus Company included motor coaches that allow him to offer charter business that went to New York, Atlantic City, and even to Hagerstown for families to visit prisoners there. Uncle Roger was named Civic Leader of the Year by the Greater Howard County Chamber of Commerce, and received the Business Community Award from the Alliance Toward an Active Community in 1978. I mean, this is just remarkable. It's amazing. Remembering the life of Roger Carter allows his legacy to be passed on even to those who never rode his bus or saw his smile. He loved people. That's the one thing I can remember about Uncle Roger. He loved people. He loved to see people laugh and smile and make them, make people happy. He loved that. I do have a picture of the old Roger Carter building, if you will allow me to show it to you. This is a picture of the old Roger Carter building. And this is a picture of the grand opening of the new building. I actually have the ribbon from the grand opening.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
I kept that. Let me see, what else can I share about Roger Carter? I'd also like to talk a little bit about Bernard Carter. Uncle Bernard, excuse me one second, I have to grab his information.
Okay.
This is Uncle Bernard. This is the best. Can you see that?
Yes, I remember that picture.
Bernard
Mhm.
Carter. He was the son of Samuel Carter, Samuel A. Carter, who was the son of Willis Carter. And Uncle Bernard was a Tuskegee Airman mechanic, and he didn't like to boast or blow his horn about his involvement with the Tuskegee Airmen. But this is where he got his training to be a mechanic, and he was good about that. And his son, he actually also had an excavation company, and his son Tyrone Carter
Yes.
still has that Carter business going on today.
Very, very successful business.
I have one more person. My cousin Victor Carter. I miss him so much.
You make me cry.
So much. He also served in the armed forces. Oh man, Victor was active with the NAACP, and he looked forward to participating. Victor, actually, his home was built by Julius Carter, who was the son of Samuel A. Carter, and that home is still standing today, which is another historical site on Carter's Lane in the Guilford community. Victor's father built the home that his wife Lena Carter is now living in. You know, so there's so much history in the Guilford community, not just for the Carter family, but all of the families that help to keep this community going. It's so important that, Guilford gets recognized for the contributions that they have made to this community. Bertina Carter, Aunt Bertina Carter, she is—
You're pulling all the tears out today, Mom.
she is the daughter of Samuel Carter, Samuel A. Carter, son of Willis Carter. This lady is remarkable.
Yes.
She, oh my goodness, I can't say enough about her. She was acclaimed as the first female and first Black person to become Commissioner of Art for the city of New York during the BEAM administration. Her appointment was surely as a result of her affiliations with and contributions to the Studio Museum of Harlem, the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Harlem Cultural Council, the Access Stage Media Guild, and the National Conference of Artists. She was also the director of North Sam Gallery of Fine Arts. And North Sam was actually named, her gallery was actually named after her parents, Nora and Sam Carter. And she's given me so much history. I've spent so many happy, precious moments with Aunt Bertina. I mean, she was a self-made lady who left the Guilford community at the age of 16. And she went to New York City, and that's where she stayed until she had to leave the city. But she stayed there for 60 years. She actually went back to school and got a degree and graduated at the age of 65. I need to show you a picture of her parents, Nora and Sam Kelly. I have that picture here. Stand by, please. I'm sorry. Okay. Have so much here.
This is what we're here for.
This is actually a picture of Nora and Sam Carter. Sam Carter is the son, one of the sons of Willis Carter. And I have another picture to show you of the Carter estate that was on Oakland
Who's in the
Mills
doorway?
Road.
Who's in the
I'm
doorway,
sorry.
Mom?
In the doorway is Aunt Naomi Carter, who's the granddaughter of Willis Carter. And let me see who else is there. And I believe it's her grandson, Bradley Gill Jr.
Okay.
So this is the Carter estate that was in Guilford. I spent so many happy days there. The Carters would always get together at that home on weekends for all family occasions. I don't know if I showed you this picture, but I'm in here somewhere. This is one of the pictures of the Carter family, inside the Carter family home.
Okay,
in,
Grandma.
in Guilford. Yeah, it's, you know, it's, I mean, I was telling Wayne this morning that it would take me months to tell all of this history because, you know, my aunts have shared everything with me. They've given me so much documentation. And if I can, I would like to mention this right here, that Victor Carter and I played a part in doing the first Founders Day the Guilford Church ever had, and they've never had one before. This was done in 1999, I believe.
I remember that.
And I would just like to, there is a copy of the deed to the church. In this, my aunt Naomi Carter Gill made this book for me and she presented it to me. It, you know, I'm a little tearful as I'm doing this history because, you know, all of these people I grew up with except for Frank Carter and Charles Carter. And it just warms my heart when I go back in history and see, you know, the legacy. Here's a picture of Aunt Naomi, the presentation that she gave to Guilford Church at this Founders Day. And there's never been, it never was, I've been a member of Guilford Church since I was 5. And I've never heard about any other Founders Day but this one. These are some more pictures of that Founders Day. I hope that you can see them. There's Victor Carter on there. You may recognize some of the other Carters, Chanel, but Victor and I and others were instrumental in getting this Founders Day together. I'd like to read off some of the names of the families that we mentioned at this Founders Day that, you know, that actually held this community down. If I can, I don't think I have that. Oh, here we are. I'd like to briefly mention these families' names. Okay. Abrams family. These are all families of the Guilford community that held this community and the church down. Abrams, Anderson, Beck, Bradley, Brown, Burley, Carter, Cheney, Coleman, Kraft, Carey, Dorsey, Exum, Fowler, Green, Harding, Holland, Holmes, Hunter, Kelly, Mason, Matthews, Moore, Mott, Pay, Pigford, Powell, Robinson, Roy, Saunders, Seed, Snell, Thomas, Thorne, Veeney, Watkins, Woodson, and Young. All of these families played such an important part of this Guilford community. And they're actually, you know, descendants of those families that are still in the community. So I'm going to get around to interview all of those families because, you know, it's important that people know that these families, the descendants are still in the Guilford community, and they're playing an active part in the community. They're playing an active part in the church. I would like to bring up this lady right here. She played an active part in the community, Miss Leola Dorsey. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Miss Leola Dorsey. Oh, she was a remarkable lady. There's actually a building named after her now. It's a homeless shelter in Jessup, I believe, that's named after her. She joined the church under Reverend Charles Jackson as an adult in 1939. She sang on the choir. She was there for over 50 years. She was a deaconess for 64 years under the leadership of Reverend Charles Jackson, Reverend R.B. Webb, and Reverend John Wright. She was instrumental in hiring Roger Carter's bus service for trips to DC to participate in the March on Washington and to hear the Martin Luther King story. If I go back, here's a picture of Dr. Morris Whitson.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned him as being
The principal.
principal at Guilford Elementary School. I need to lift up this lady, I'm sorry, Miss Dorothy Craft, who just passed away not too long ago. She was very instrumental in the church and the community as well. Her daughter, Kay Craft, and I were best friends for a very, very long time. I love Kay dearly. I need to lift up, I may be going off cuff here, but I have so much.
Well, we're talking about heroes in the Guilford community, so I definitely think that you're still in the same vein.
This is Betty Carter. I miss her so much. Betty and I used to have a lot of fun together. And she loved her family. She loved the legacy and the history that the Carter family has left behind. She was so proud of her history. I'm going to just read a little bit about Sylvia Betty Carter. Betty Carter was actually the first woman Votarian in the county. She acted as a trailblazer, as a Black female business owner. She covered new ground on more than one occasion in her life. She ran the Carter bus service after, her parents, were no longer able to do it, along with her daughter, Wanda Garcia. 3 generations of Carter women kept those buses rolling throughout the county and beyond after Uncle Roger passed. Betty is also the first woman to be elected to a county Rotary Club, being inducted into the Ellicott City Rotary Club on October 1st. I could go on and on and on and on about this family, this history in this church. In the Guilford community. Here is actually a picture of the second church. Did I show that already?
No, Okay. Who's in the door?
It's actually Aunt Naomi Carter and Uncle Bernard. Uncle Bernard.
Okay.
They're standing in the door. Let's see what else. I have a copy of the church deed. I don't know if you can see that or not. I actually have a plaque that the Carter family gave to Guilford Church. At the Founders Day, it says, in honor of Reverend Willis J. Carter, founder of the First Baptist Church of Guilford, glory be to God for the contributions to this church and the community from Reverend Willis J. Carter and Mrs. Mary Moss Carter. And this presented on Founders Day by the Carter family on October 24th, 1999. And I still have this plaque. This is one of my favorite pictures of the Carter family at Uncle Bernard's house, to some of the Carter family members there. I have to mention my cousin Cheryl Carter, who passed away. She's Bernard Carter's daughter. She was an actress, a singer. She did the voiceover for the cartoon Rugrats. She starred in a lot of movies with the Fonz. I don't know his right name. She played on Bold and the Beautiful. She did a lot of things. She left this area and went to Los Angeles and pursued her professional career in acting and singing. So there you have some of the Carter family history. Like I said, I could go on and on and on, and I need to show you one more picture. This is very important because this is the Morse side of the Carter family. This is Frederick Morse. This family originated from Richmond, Virginia. This is his wife, Caroline, who is the mother of Mary Carter, who was the wife of Willis Carter. And Mary was the third child of Frederick and Caroline. Like I said, this history is just, it's amazing. It really is amazing. And it would take me months to tell it all, but I tell you, I am so grateful that several members of Willis's family shared this history with me, because it cannot die as long as there are descendants of the Carter family in the community. The history has to be kept alive because it's important. We have to know where we came from. It's important to know where you came from. And the Guilford community is an amazing community. We talk about, every time Black History Month comes around, we speak of all these people in history books, these Black people that we've never met, but we have local history. We never mention their names. Their names never come up. And that's sad. That's sad because, I watched the people that I'm talked about shed tears because they were mistreated just because of the color of their skin, and I don't want to get emotional, but this history is dear to my heart. It's very dear to my heart. It's important to me, to say that I grew up knowing these people, watching them, sacrifice, to make a better life for themselves, their families, and the community. Willis built homes in the Guilford community for the people that he hired in the community. He built homes so the people that he hired could have places to live. I know of one house, a couple of houses in the Guilford community that were on the Carter farm that were chicken coops, and Willis turned them into homes so that the families would have somewhere to live. I actually was present in those homes. I've been in those homes, so,
It's a rich history, and I think that I think that viewers will be able to see that there is a pattern within the Carter family, and the things that are important are family, education, and their faith. So those are some things that will be seen that weave themselves in and out of every part of the Carter family within the Guilford community.
You're right about that. You're right about that because, like I said, it's something to be proud of, to know where you came from, to know why you are who you are, why you do the things that you do, because it's in your bloodline.
It is. Now I can see where I get it from.
Yes. Yes.
So tell me about the Christmases. What was Christmas like? in the
Oh my
Guilford
goodness.
community.
Christmas was so much fun. Oh my goodness. It was so much fun. There would be Christmas activities going on at Guilford Elementary School. We would have to be in plays and, at the Guilford Church. Aunt Dora would be instrumental in, finding a Christmas tree that at the time looked like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, but it was beautiful to us, and she would always make sure that everybody, all the children got a Christmas bag, which was, we have a running joke about that bag. It was a brown paper bag. Everybody got the same brown paper bag. Some of them looked like they were used, but we were happy to get them. We would open them up. We'd be all excited. They would have nuts in them, candy, fruit, and we would all be, happy about opening these bags and what you get. And we all got the same thing every year, but it was just a big deal to know that Aunt Dora, thought enough of us, to, make this Christmas extra special with her way of giving back. Now, in my household, my grandfather would always take my siblings and myself Christmas shopping. We would wait until Christmas Eve. Every Christmas Eve, we would go Christmas shopping. We would get the Christmas tree. We'd come back and we would trim the Christmas tree. And my grandmother would have this old record player playing albums and singing. My grandmother loved to sing. Oh my goodness, she would sing from sun up until sundown, just singing all the time. But Christmas was delightful. And, if it snowed, we got snow where we could make tunnels and the snow would be above our heads. That's the kind of snow. If we got snow around Christmas time, we got a sled. At the time, the Cartersville Road was a dirt road, and we get the sled and we slide down that road, to the bottom, and just have a blast. We'd be out there all day, frostbitten, and just didn't care, just having a great old time. And I remember also around Christmas time that, the men in the community really always came together and helped each family. Like, if, back in that time, we didn't have all-wheel drive and all those kind of things. They would put chains on their tires and, they would help, dig out Cartersville Road. They would be, however long it took them, they would be out there. So Christmas time just brings back so many good memories. It was just a very happy time in my grandparents' home and in the Guilford community. It was a very happy time.
Yes, I definitely remember those brown paper bags. I received a couple of them myself as a child with those nuts in there and that candy that would break your teeth out of your face. But it was a treat every year for us to get. And that's actually a tradition that I do believe still goes on in the community with the bags. I think that somewhere in there, either Miss Susie or somebody still hands out the bags of candy to the kids in the community. So I think this is a good point. This is a good part to stop. And then maybe we can pick up with the rest of the questions the next time.
Can I just add one thing?
Oh, yeah.
Before we stop. I need to lift up my village, my church.
Oh.
I need to lift you guys.
Oh, look at me. I think I was pregnant.
Where would I be without you all in my life? You all have been, this is not a great picture here, but this is my whole village here. You all did this. I tried to print it in color. It wouldn't work, but there's my son-in-laws, you know, Carter, baby Carter, Madeline, who's named after my grandmother, Madeline Carter, Haywood, my
course.
new son-in-law, everybody's in there. I mean, you all have just, you know, I love you so much because
Oh,
you all have just contributed so much joy to my life. And, you know, you keep me grounded. And I have to acknowledge this man right here
oh,
also.
my daddy.
Yeah, for 40 years, he has been the king of my life, you know. So, you know, that was a little off the cuff, but I feel that I have to give people flowers while they're, you know, still alive. Let my family know how much I appreciate you all. I mean, you know, I could never, ever ask for a better family.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, we love you back, and we're doing our best to maintain and continue to raise the standard and the bars within the Carter community, the Carter legacy, to make sure that our ancestors are not disappointed, but that they are happy with what we're doing. And you know, we love you back. That's why it's so important for us to get this message of the history of Guilford out for everyone to know just how important and vital this community, which is still a thriving community now, still a very up and moving community now, the Guilford community, but just knowing the history and where it came from is so important. And it's an honor to be a part of this. And I look forward to the people that will be touched by it.
Yeah, so am I. I mean, it's just, it's phenomenal. That's all I can say. It's phenomenal. It's important. And, you know, the county, the state of Maryland needs to know about the rich history that is in Guilford, mainly, you know, Howard County, because, you know, there's so many places in the Guilford community that are historical that don't get recognized. You know,
Definitely.
hold on one second, please. Hold on.
Oh no, I think we lost her.
Maybe this is a good
Yeah, this is a good
point
stopping
to
point.
stop the recording.
Yeah, this is a good stop.